share, post to your profile, share via email, report story, by Mono-san. Summary. Thank you for staying with me last night. Ochako walked inch by inch, slowly, so Izuku wouldn't realize she was planning her escape. It was a confusing evening and we all made mistakes in our lives, alright. I'm sure this all happens to everyone. Not everyone but so yeah, no harm done. Bye, Deku. This was so not supposed to happen. Dot. A 24-year-old Ochako Uraraka found herself in her best friend's bed and she was beside him. This was not supposed to happen. To make the matter worse, she was snuggled in his arms, her gloved hand above his chest, the other embracing his waist. She was using his left arm as her pillow, his right hand wrapped around her small frame. Izuku's breath was even, tucked away to the safety havens of his dreams. Ochako, on the other hand, was having a mental breakdown. This is bad, like really bad. A mistake like this was always the cliché reason why friends decided to avoid each other and never talk to the other again. Did they do it? She doesn't remember what happened the night before. That both relieved and disappointed her. If they really did do it and this situation will be the reason for their partnership shattering into pieces, it won't even be worth it. She can't even remember just one kiss. She flinched as sudden pain flickers at the back of her head. Someone was bashing her skull with a bat. That's how it felt like anyway. Her head hurts like hell. The nightdress that she was wearing wasn't hers. He was living alone at present. Did he change her clothes? How could she even face Deku now? Izuku sighed in his sleep and that stirred her up from her stupor. Escape now. Questions later. Maybe by pretending none of this really happened, their friendship wouldn't crumble to the ground and dissolves in the wind like ashes. To be able to escape though, she has to untangle herself from him and shouldn't wake him up in the process. Slowly, silently, she lifted her arm away from his form. Over her success, she heaved a mental sigh of relief. Now this will be the complicated part. She has to lift Deku's arm away from her waist. Gently, she touched his arm. Upon the contact, her gaze flew up towards his face to see if he was awake. He didn't. She didn't move though, suddenly caught by the thought that they hadn't been this close for a long time and this was the first time that she had woken up beside him. She was so close she could see the other nearly invisible freckles on his cheeks. His eyelashes were longer than she realized and it was as green as his hair. His face was still as innocent as a child, she thought, as she caresses a strand of hair away from his face. The gesture, however, had Izuku waking up from his slumber. His eyes fluttered open a tad and met hers, which was now widening in alarm. Ochako, eep. She released a short squeal of surprise and rolls out of the bed. Her body hit the floor but she stands up so fast straightaway, that the sudden forceful movements made Ochako dizzy. The lightheadedness was nothing compared to her distress nonetheless. He was awake and she didn't know what to do. She felt the panic building, almost at the edge of hysteria, and blurted out a messy greeting. Good morning, Deku. Oh. Good morning, Ochako. He mumbled under the covers and he slowly sat up, rubbing his eyes with his fist sleepily. Promoted stories. You'll also like. After all. Fluke 11.4K 802. Will edit once I'm free. N. This is a work of fiction, and any similarity with other works is purely coincidental. Excuse grammatical errors and misspellings. Eng. Ohm fluke a day 112K 8.2 kiloamperes. Collection of short ohm fluke over 365 days. Please check the second book for the rest of the day's update. Return of Mokuten discontinued 3.6K 45. This story is officially up for adoption. If anyone is interested, message me or comment on the story. Much needed love. Yandere Succubus Momo X Izu 52.7K 834. After Wattpad had decided to delete this story out of nowhere, I and many reader were distraught. So I'm making a remake of the story from the ground up to compensate. The Kings and Queen Yandere Wakfu X Reader 60.5K 1.8 Kyonder. Wakfu X Reader. Images do not belong to me unless stated. Wakfu does not belong to me, it belongs to Enigma. This is being rewritten in another book on my profile. Siro Deku Onishots 31.6K 798. Because of circumstances, this book won't be continued unfortunately. Feel free to check out my other stuff. Thank you for understanding. Feelings. Izawa. X-Reader 57.4K 1.3 KRE posting. This until I edited. Sorry if it's not good, it's my first time writing a story. You enroll at UA and you have multiple quirks you are really good at using. Why? She scanned the room for any familiar bag of hers and found one near the door. Now, how to get that and also get out of the door with their friendship intact? Her gaze fluttered back towards his form. Thank you for staying with me last night. Ochako walked inch by inch, slowly, so Izuku wouldn't realize she was planning her escape. It was a confusing evening and we all made mistakes in our lives, right? I'm sure this all happens to everyone. Not everyone but so yeah, no harm was done. Bye. Deku. Wait. She recoiled but made no attempt to leave. He stands up from his bed and walked towards his dresser, yawning on his way, and Ochako silently cursed why he had to look so good in the morning. He looked irresistible with that purposely not on purpose messy hair, loose white long-sleeved cotton shirt, and bare feet. At least, he's not naked. She's not disappointed. Damn it. He walked towards her and she wanted to retreat but couldn't. When he started to touch her hair, confusion flooded her system, and then she realized with a start that he was combing her bed hair. She must have looked hideous with her hair looking like a nest, and with that thought, she flushed in embarrassment. Where are you going? Deku asked casually as he combed her hair thoroughly one last time. He pulled away to look at his work, then smiles as if he was looking at the most beautiful woman in the world, before setting the comb down on the tiny table beside his bed. The gravity girl was still confused however and unintentionally confess her true objective. Needed to leave so. Izuku looked hesitant but she watched his green eyes darken with resolve afterward, making her think that the doubt she saw a second ago was merely her imagination. About last night. Deku. Oh, please don't talk about it. Can we just forget what happened last night? Ochako began, looking anywhere but at his way. She bit her lower lip and decided to be frank if she really wanted to come clean. Whatever it was, I'm sure it's just a drunken mistake. The hurt was swift but confusion simmers above the pain. Izuku frowns. Why should I forget what happened last night? You said that you low. She quickly interrupts before he could have said it. Why you must be hearing things. There's no way I would say that. She forces out a laugh that was as lame as her excuse. Damn it, so did she really confess? After holding back for years, a night where she enjoyed a few alcoholic liquors would be the day where she bears her biggest secret. When did her life turn into a miserable teenage flick? You don't remember, don't you? Izuku asked, hitting the target right on the head. Ochako flinched. Realization hit and Deku falters, clears his throat. He drew a deep breath. Can you remember anything from last night? It was a tricky question. Ochako paused before she answered. She looked up at him and was about to lie, desperate to keep this friendship intact, but when she looked at his eyes, it was clouded with emotion she hadn't seen before. She decided to say the truth. No, Izuku grieved whispers. Anything. Anything at all. Based on his reaction, something did happen between them and she made it sound like a mistake. She shook her head sadly, not understanding why this all seems unreasonably significant for him. Did something else happen? Her heart beat painfully against her ribs. Wait, did they really done the did? Upon her silence, he tugged her hand and pulled her close, wrapping his arms around her. Surprised, her words suddenly clogged on her throat. We went to the beach and watched the stars near the shore. He murmured near her neck and she shivered, her heart racing. She can smell his faded cologne, feel his sturdy chest underneath her palms. I bought you a sunflower yesterday and we created silly little airplanes with the receipt. She must be too drunk to remember, but the way he painted that image created a blurry memory and she somewhat knew that yesterday they had been laughing and crying and throwing tiny pebbles into the water. I'm sorry, I must have been so drunk. I can't remember, she confesses, clutching the back of his shirt. Deku murmured a sad sigh. I brought you home but you didn't want to leave the beach. Her lips curved with amusement at that. I have to literally carry you back and you keep tugging my hair, screaming the green seaweed had captured you and should let you go. I told you, I won't. He said, his voice softening. And you cried and begged me to leave you. He drew back, and when she looked up at him, his green eyes were glacial. It's our anniversary. Her eyes widened in disbelief. So many questions registered but words failed her. She had to struggle to find her voice. It was a different kind of fear now. Dozens of nerves jumping to tangle over each other. Her confusion must have reflected in her eyes, however, because Izuku's eyes softened and he began to explain. We've been married for 3 years. Izuku whispers, leaning his forehead against hers. Deku told her that it was a miracle she was even alive. Receiving such heavy damage on her head on a mission, Ochako barely escaped the clutches of death and everyone thought she was lucky. Her healing was gradual after the operation and everything was going well until one day, she doesn't recognize her sidekick that was working with her for months. Ochako Uraraka was slowly losing her memory as the day passes and when they learn that there's no remedy for her situation, Ochako wanted Deku to leave her. Yesterday, on their third wedding anniversary, she pleaded that he file a divorce and just leave her side. As Ochako processed all that, tears collected at the corner of her eyes and streams down into her cheeks until she could taste them. Izuku kissed her temple softly. You didn't leave, she whispers. The words drifted away, spoken so softly, Izuku barely heard them. No, I didn't. Where stories live. Discover now.
Just you want to talk shit, that's what he gets. That's what you look at him. Look at him, I can't see you. Look, look. That's look. Look, look.